Look, we're 10 days away from the first notice day of delivery for the March silver contract. And I think people really need to understand what this means. As of Friday, there was 58,770 contracts that were left open interest, as it's called, that could stand for delivery. Each contract is 5,000 ounces. So that's 294 million ounces open interest right now for the March contract. A bunch of it has rolled to May, to the May contract, because there was about 400 million ounces a week ago. So about 100 million ounces have rolled to May, which is the next big delivery month, not April, it's May. And that's normal, right? But it's still really very huge that we have 300 million ounces open this close to first notice. So I think what I take away from that is not a COMEX default, but even half of the open interest actually decided to stand for delivery. You're talking 150 million ounces that would need to get sourced, right? The problem with that is that the registered silver category, that is the available silver backing the contracts available to deliver, is about 90 million ounces, right? So, do the math. If demand for delivery spikes, COMEX has two options: either drain registered inventory very fast, which would be, I guess, a very serious drawdown, or you have the price of immediacy increases, where you have forced incentives. Premiums will increase, exchange for physicals will increase. They will try and get people to roll to May by incentivizing cash settlements with a premium, anything to keep metal from leaving. And in my opinion, this is how the stress shows up. It's not in price, but it's in the delivery mechanisms and the delivery mechanics. And when the paper claims tower over the deliverable silver, I think the market is calm until it isn't. And so I think really what you're looking at is even a portion of this stands for delivery. 20% stands for delivery. You're talking, 60 million ounces of the 90 million. This is a problem. And so I think that's, to me, the biggest issue right now. What I'm watching is we'll see what happens over the next 10 days. At the same time, you still have this big $10 premium in Shanghai over the Western price. That this arbitrage is not going away. They're continuing to incentivize the people here in the West who have the ability to buy cheap, $75 or whatever, and sell it for $85 in China. A lot of people say, well, what about the difference in price is the tax. The VAT tax, right? Not tariffs, that there's a VAT tax, which is true, but it's not true, right? These are people who are not quite understanding the mechanics. The VAT tax is really there, but it's the responsibility of the recipient, because when metal is delivered to Shanghai and you get that $10 arbitrage spread, you deliver 50 million ounces at $10, you just made $500 million. That VAT tax is the responsibility of the recipient when it leaves the Shanghai exchange. So it's not paid until it leaves. If it stays there, there is no tax. So in other words, that arbitrage is significant enough at this point for a $10 premium plus like a 13 or 14 or 15% tax. They don't care. They want the metal. And so this is all, I think, noise. You have to see the big picture. You have to relax, see the big picture, understand it for what it truly is. And I think, yes, the volatility is enough to freak a lot of people out. But look, silver is the canary in the coal mine. And I think it's exposing a paper market built by banks that trade credit, not real metal. And real demand is showing up in Shanghai, and price discovery is shifting there. It's leaving London, it's leaving New York, and as long as the Western paper market stays disconnected to Shanghai like it is now, the physical silver will keep getting pulled out of the West and sent to where it's valued. And look, the scary part, it's even getting tight in Shanghai with premiums starting to blow out. And I think that's why, to me, The forwards and the futures are starting to feel almost undeliverable for a lot of people. This is why you're seeing backwardation, where the market makers are having a hard time sourcing metal. They can't hedge easily. I've been saying since 2020 on your show, the central banks have figured it out of the global south. Stand for delivery slowly. Don't do it too fast. Everyone says, why don't they just throw trillions of dollars at? Because you kill yourself. You cut off your nose to spite your face. They've been masterful at draining the exchanges all around the world. And that slow, insidious, little by little part, people can't handle. It's too monotonous. It's too slow. It's a nothing burger. But as you can see, we're getting to the point where they're running out of available silver to deliver. And that, to me, is all you need to see, on top of who's been standing for delivery every single month, month over month over month over month over month, for billions and billions and billions of dollars. They don't do this for the hell of it. What you see right now is just the volatility meant to throw the rest of us off the scent, off the trail, and join the highest influx into global U.S. equities in history. They want the rest of us in the pen with the rest of the sheep. At the same time, you got billionaire David Einhorn. I don't know if you saw that article, but he thinks that gold is well on its way to becoming the world's ultimate reserve asset. This is a guy that runs one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, and he's saying that it's already replacing treasuries, as we've talked about for the last several years, as central bank's reserve asset, because the confidence in this system, both fiscal and macro outlook, is getting worse. I've never seen a market like this. Never, ever. I mean, let's go back to the pandemic. Premiums on junk, we were paying $9 over spot for 4 years. Anyone that would sell us as much as they would sell us, we would pay $9 over spot. I've never seen a market like this, and it's not just junk silver, although that's been hit relatively hard on the buy side. It's all of the items, with the exception maybe of Silver Eagles. I've never seen anything like it. Let's talk about it a little bit. In an effort, I think, by the CME Group to, which is the COMEX, to knock the speculators off their perch, they raised margins significantly. So normally we'll have 2 or 3 million ounces of silver in our warehouse, and we will hedge it ounce for ounce so that we're market neutral. We'll sell the equivalent of what we have in our warehouse on paper. So one goes up, one goes down. We've talked about this a lot. So you're market neutral with your inventory. If a week or two before Christmas, it was about $16,000 to hedge 5,000 ounce contract, somewhere in that neighborhood. Now it's about $50,000 to hedge a 5,000 ounce contract. And gold is about $40-some thousand to hedge a 100 ounce contract. You have to have that in your margin account. And as long as the market doesn't move against you, it stays there. Well, you know, if you're not a big company with 50 million or more that you can park in a margin account, you're not having a big inventory, first and foremost. The cost of running this business because of things like that has become exponentially higher. With insurance say, well, metals have gone way up, and you know, how are you going to protect that and insure that within the vault and all, coinciding with the stupid margin increases to the nth degree to knock the speculators up. So you are a refiner. So, you know, companies like mine have big enough bankrolls to buy this stuff and stockpile and hang on to it, right? And hedge it. The cost of hedging just went way up. But if you're a mid-sized company or a small-sized company and you don't hedge, you offload it right away. Well, with the volatility we've seen in the market where, you know, $1 moves used to be a lot. Now we're seeing huge moves. You have to be way back of spot if you're not hedging it, because you could take in $100,000 worth of stuff and it moves $10 an ounce and the next day and you're way down. Well, if you're taking large amounts in, you go out of business. So the small mid-sized companies who aren't hedging, well, they have to be way back of spot because of this environment. Normally they would give it to the refiner and get spot, or, you know, a hair under, whatever, you know, but now the refiners won't take it because the refiners have to hedge theirs. So, you know, if the refiners take in $50 million worth of product, they'll hedge $50 million worth of product on COMEX, right? Market neutral. Well, it takes time to break down the doré, to break down the junk silver, melt it down into pure silver, into shot, and then refine it into bars and rounds, and or the flatware where the knives are, the blade is stainless steel, the handle is plaster, a little bit of sterling silver around the handle. It takes time to break that down, snap off the blade and break the silver off the handle, and all. It's labor intensive and it takes time. Well, for 2 months, the price of silver was going up so fast and the margin requirements so fast, all the refiners got margin called. And they're like, we can't do this. We take in any more, we're going to go out of business. We're getting margin called on our short position to offset our inventory, but we can't even melt the stuff down yet, and we're getting margin called because of it. The entire industry has been gummed up because of margin increases in particular, and it has reverberated through the entire industry, largely because the refiners, which would provide a great source of liquidity to the industry, aren't anymore. They're not taking any business. And so when you look at the increase in costs on those that use margin, and hedge rather, or the risk for those that don't, it's created an environment that no one has ever seen before. Now, I don't think this will last. I just think that this is an environment that it's kind of an outlier. I would not sell junk silver right now. It's the best value, period. Buy it at spot. It is the best value I've ever seen. And remember, in a period of great stress, 2020 through 2024, we would have paid you $9 to $10 over spot for any amount of junk silver you would sell. So it was the best performing asset in silver other than Silver Eagles for 4 years. It should have already changed, to be honest with you. It should have. And look, if you want to know the truth, the only way that you ever really get ahead in things is to buy things that are cheap and undervalued when they're on sale. You don't go into Nordstrom's to buy your kids a new wardrobe for school and say, gosh darn it, everything's on sale. And that's what we're saying here. This stuff is on sale. Look, I remember 2007, 8, and 9 when premiums on that stuff were 70, 80, 90% or higher, even from circulated grades, over $1,000 spot price. I flew all around America for 2 years and told people who had bought nothing but numismatics from us, sell us your numismatics and go into bullion. I would call a guy like you and say, Dunnigan, I sold you 1,000 MS-62 Liberties over the last 10 years. I'm flying out to your house and you can't say, no, I'm bringing 1,800 Gold Eagles with me. And if I look at what has made me successful in terms of individual trades, it's always been identification and exploitation of price anomalies. You want to exploit a price anomaly, buy pre-33 gold, buy junk silver, you're exploiting a price anomaly. Now, does that mean that, what's the old adage? Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. It's true here too. But I'll tell you, in 36 years, in almost 15 billion in sales, I have never, and I mean never, seen this with Numis and this with junk silver. Contrarians have a lonely road. And, I think that being a contrarian in investing is what makes people truly successful. This is why there is an entire school of investment theory, wave theory, Kondraty and Elliott wave, which measures the emotions cumulatively of the herd from, greed and exuberation, irrational exuberation, down to fear and panic and, oh my God, what now, what? The people who stand outside, who are away from that, can see things a little bit more clearly. They're the ones who benefit.